All right. Uh, Good evening, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, from wherever you are in the world. I'd like to welcome you to our CS Live, Coinstore Live Market Insider Edition. Uh, this is a beautiful day for an AMA, and I'm joined today by one of the CEO of KERC project. It's a new project that's based in Malaysia. And with me is the founder, John. John, welcome to the CS Live Market Insider AMA edition. So, yeah, please introduce yourself first to the audience.
Sure, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to just speak to the community and just to the larger audience in terms of what we are doing and where we are in a sense. We have been in the whole industry for about 6 months now, 7 months actually, in a sense, and working around. So we're not a brand new project in that sense per se, but we are still quite new to the market as a whole. As we're going more public now with what we're doing. Personally, I've been in healthcare for more than a decade. I've been more in the technological side of healthcare, more in the CS, the hospital management systems and the clinic management systems, payment gateways and stuff like that. So this sort of makes sense for me to move into the whole blockchain DeFi and see how we can sort of change the landscape of healthcare as a whole.
Right. Thank you. Okay. I forgot to make an introduction of myself. My name is Anthony. I'm the senior BD manager of Coinstore. But yeah, I'm so excited for this CS Live AMA because of the fact that John and I share the same passion. Before I actually went into crypto, I'm actually a medical professional. No? And when Coinstore invited me to do this AMA, I immediately said yes. So okay, thanks for the brief introduction, John. Let me start by asking the very first question. What is the fundamental inspiration behind you and your team launching Kirk? And the follow-up question is why healthcare and why this intersection between healthcare and Web3 and blockchain?
Yeah, great question. I think this is what everyone sort of asks, and it's actually on the top of everyone's head. The issue is that blockchain is not new to healthcare as a whole. Like blockchain has been around, and smart contracts have been around for decades, and the whole utilization of blockchain has just not been adopted as a whole. Adoption has always been the biggest pain points for any country and any system because healthcare as a whole is a very holistic and personal experience. So everyone is very protective over their data and their health information, especially when you start introducing the idea of insurance players, and you want to be very cautious about what data you sort of give up. And insurance players on the other hand also really want your data because it's valuable to start predicting in terms of like the trends and what's going to happen. Governments as well. So us going into healthcare, we came into the idea where we would say, look, healthcare right now as a whole in the whole world is a very fragmented market. Everyone is sort of working in their silos, everyone's very working in their systems in their own place, and no one really wants to sort of cross country and cross border and fix that. So we thought, hey, look, blockchain has been around, but how do we then bridge this whole gap? And how do we give power back to the people? And how do we essentially allow the everyday user to be in power of their own personal health records? Because as a matter of fact, most hospitals around the world, easily from last we checked, about 60% of hospitals still use pen and paper and
Mhm.
traditional database systems. No one is really securing your healthcare records. And as a whole, if any breach of any given moment, it's so simple, but people are just overlooking that because obviously there are more hotter things in the market. So as a whole, this is sort of the heart and vision behind KERC and what we are trying to solve as a whole.
Mhm.
Because with this, we are able to reduce costs in terms of health expense. We are able to start reducing wait times in systems and hospitals because we can start predicting different things. We can start reduce cost and wastage in hospitals as well because especially with that we can start looking at the consumable costs and medicational costs with more information. So at the end of the day, information is king in any industry. We see the tech giants right now, or reason why they are there because of information. So this is what we are essentially trying to solve as a whole.
All right. Before I go to my next question, I'd like to announce to all the viewers in this live stream that we will be doing a promo code giveaway within this live stream of Kirk tokens. Okay, so there will be two promo codes. The first promo code will be given during the course of this live stream, and another promo code towards the end of the live stream. So to all our viewers, please, if you wanna get some KERC tokens, please download the Coinstore app and register an account to claim this giveaway. Okay, so let me go to my next question. Um, let's backtrack a bit during the pandemic. Um, how do you see the pandemic changing the way we look at healthcare? From everyone's on lockdown all over the world, everything just stopped. And then by some reason, crypto is alive. There's this bull run last cycle. Was that going to be like, did that become part of the reason why you started this? Is it because of the effect of the effect of the pandemic that we're still feeling right now, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. One thing, the whole pandemic, because we were one of the few companies that were in charge of basically vaccinating a lot of Malaysia as a whole, because that time when we were moved away from our traditional businesses, we had to sort of pivot into a system where we needed to structure how we generated revenue. And two things we recognize definitely. One thing is that the whole world is actually ready to adopt healthcare into digital formats, because we were giving the governments and giving institutional players our healthcare information.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm sure you remember the time when you needed a healthcare passport or a vaccination certificate to get
Right.
places and to show that you were fine. Governments were tracking you and saying like, "Oh, you are in an unsafe zone and you will now be quarantined," and stuff like that. So much of these things were happening globally. So definitely we as a human race are ready to adopt crypto, young and old. A lot of healthcare data was moved in and out throughout this whole pandemic season. And number two, uh, there was no security in that sense. You see all the breaches and information that were leaked during that time. As a whole, many companies who basically have no governing bodies and system over the records and health information that they've collected over this whole period, 2 years, where so much data was basically just given
Yeah.
out for free, and there's no governing body sort of controlling it because of the wild west during the pandemic, and
Yeah.
governments were in the tussle trying to figure out what they wanted to do. So definitely this has pushed us in the forefront to say, look, things need to change, and we can be the change in the forefront of this now.
Yeah. All right. That's a very, very comprehensive answer, no, to a very simple question. But let me ask you, like, if I'm an individual now watching this live stream and potentially participating in your project, what sort of benefit or let's say early adoption benefit do I get as an individual if, let's say, I start supporting your community, I buy the tokens, or just basically out of curiosity, find out more what's in it for people or individuals or even groups, that you guys potentially will partner with in the long run.
For sure. Great question. This is always a heat of the question. Why join Kirk? Why be part of Kirk? So if you want definitely more information, go to our website. We have quite a rundown detail in our white paper. But as of just of now, the reason why we started Kirk as a project on the DeFi side is because we wanted to show a proof of concept for adoption. We started off the business as revenue first and returns first to our investors and
Mhm.
to our holders, rather than building the whole infrastructure as a whole directly. We basically look at how the industry as in DeFi sort of work, where everyone will sort of throw you and promise you a pipe dream where, oh, we're going to build this and we're going to raise funds for that. Then after that, in the whole process, when you start running out of funds because there's no new investors coming to believe in your vision, the project code essentially dies. And we are happy to say we've been around for 7 months, and this is our track record to prove that, look, we are not a project where, in a sense, we're working on Ponzonomics. We're not working on any I would say fake numbers to sort of buy you out. What we are essentially doing is we are raising funds to essentially buy GPs, which are general practice clinics, the most basic of
Oh.
clinics. And the reason why is because, number one, GPs actually generate quite a sustainable revenue,
Mhm.
and they are actually the gateway to your healthcare in general. Because whenever you are not in an emergency, whenever you are sick in a sense, or you have a family doctor, you normally go to your general practice, the doctors, and this is where the gate way and gate flow of all your information sort of goes through. Right now, we have 3 clinics under our assets from our first pre-sale launch in that sense. And right now, the reason why we're moving to a centralized exchange is to essentially start seeing the utilizations of the tokens, because we have plans to sort of move into our own private chain on a layer 2 to sort of
Okay.
control and handle the healthcare information. But the first problem they want to solve is create a sustainable business model first to ensure that the project can sustain long term. And
Mhm.
then we start adopting, because right now each clinic sees about, I would say, 600 to 400 patients a month. And these are health records and data that we're collecting, and we are basically onboarding it into the system that we are adopting and we are building on right now. So first stage is sustainable business, then we create the product, and then we grow on a mass scale. So right now we're in the midst of developing and finalizing the product before we move towards a bigger scale.
All right. I mean, you answered already the tokenomics question. Very, very good. So I can skip this next question and ask you a bit more about the expansionist, side, which is you guys are currently in Malaysia, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. You have 3 clinics that you guys operate, like this Kirk present in. It's in Malaysia, right?
Yeah.
What sort of plan, given let's say in the future wherein you get bigger, which markets are you guys going to target next?
Yeah, great question. So the whole healthcare industry as a whole, the whole world, it's about 11 trillion. In the 11 trillion, you're looking at primary care alone is about 30 to 40% of that whole budget cost, and
Mm-hmm.
the sky is the limit for us. The reason why we chose Malaysia is because the adoption and the consolidation in Southeast Asia is not as a whole yet. Number one, we don't see a massive conglomerate coverage in Southeast Asia yet, compared to the States, compared to other countries, where if we were to start in the US and to start in Mexico, we were exploring those as options as well. The issue is that many conglomerates already own GPs in a sense there. So to enter the market, the barrier of entry is just too high. So what we decided to do is start in Southeast Asia. Malaysia
Okay.
first, we're moving to the Philippines, Indonesia next,
Mhm.
because for us, at the end of the day, is the GPs is where we sort of like I said earlier, it's just to control the flow of information. And when we start having those users, you need to also remember those patients are going to be our app users. That means our system and our D app users, where they will be introduced in automatically into the health record systems. And when we have such adoption process, it's easy to start pushing hospitals to start adopting our system. So we don't need to go and buy hospitals per se. We don't need to basically buy bigger institutions, because when we start having that ground level of patient flow, it's easy,
Mm.
because now when your patients have their health record on their D app on their phone, they're going to go to hospital. Hey, look, I have this health, all my details on my phone at this like this. Like, why can't you have this? And it's easy to start pushing those adoptions. So this is where we sort of tackle the adoption pain point the other way around, rather than going directly into creating a whole new product, getting hospitals to adopt. The costing is going to be so high because the hospitals don't want to change their systems and their models of what they're doing. We're going from the other way, where we create demand from the users and we sort of tackle this problem. So that's why when we are moving towards creating our chain and our layer 2, this is where we sort of see the tokenomics of how we utilize the token will start booming. And the next thing also is that obviously we're also looking at potentially using our token as a payment system for our facilities internally in a sense. So this will sort of create a flow and chain of token and cash in that sense.
All right. Wow, we have answered so many questions in such a short time. But before we move on, no, I have to basically reveal now the first promo code. So for all our viewers, basically the promo code will be hovering at the top of this live stream. So please stay tuned for that. And yeah, before I move on to the next question, John, I'd like to ask you, um, like how's your roadmap doing? Where are you guys currently, I mean, at this stage? And what's more to expect, what more to expect from Kirk, let's say in this year, because this year is basically a very pivotal year for crypto. We're
Yeah.
already approaching a bull cycle. I mean, we're, if not already in the bull cycle, we are approaching one.
Yeah, for sure. So right now we are essentially closing up a special deal that we sort of structured out. We have a 3x pool that we're currently running. Basically, because we have this is another benefit of being in real world assets. When consolidation can happen, you can sort of have better exits. And this is not exits where you sort of see imaginary money start popping up, because when we start selling and realizing the value of assets and we start selling it to other people, we can multiply the value that we purchase at. And this is what we, so personally, I specialize in offline, in that sense, out of the core crypto side, and I'm bringing it into the project as well. So that's why we have sort of have a 3x funding pool that we're sort of finalizing now. We're closing up now, in a sense where how that's how we can sort of guarantee you that return rate. That's number one. Number two, we are in the midst of finalizing our own private chain. Essentially, we will developing along the layer ones to see who can allow us to sort of create that information silo. Because when you come to PDPA law and HIPAA compliant laws, you need to create information silos in each center, while also being able to allow a sort of administrational key or a user key to basically transfer data in and out. So this is where we need to ensure that it's not a public chain system. That's why we need to create our own chain. And this is where our token will essentially also become a DAO system down the road. And this is where we sort of see that development and the boost. Because after this, with this whole development, and when we are essentially hand holding so much healthcare data and information, we are able to start basically generating revenue with the insurance players and also the TPAs to sort of create this ecosystem where revenue will start coming in. So I would say this is, we are actually at the very early crust in a sense. We are rolling out our whole D app and our whole patient information by Q3, Q4 this year, and we will start seeing that adoption booming in a sense. So we expect to use and utilize about 30 to 50,000 patient health records. And if we are just looking at the statistics of how much a health patient record costs, the WHO recently said health data per KB is worth more than liquid oil right now. We're looking at least per user, you're looking at $633 per health record data. So you can sort of see where our market cap and our valuation of the company will sort of grow. So the key benefit here is we are a real world asset project based on crypto, because it sort of goes in line with what we are developing in a sense. So
Yeah.
it's not the other way around where we are sort of going into crypto because we need to. It's sort of, it's a symmetry between the both of us.
All right. I think we're getting some delay from your side, John. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Maybe the internet.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Yeah, okay. I think the question that I have a few more questions. I think the next question that I have is about the opportunity and the challenges. No, so right now, I think you've spoken a lot about the opportunity. So I probably will pivot to the competition, the obstacles. What sort of obstacles are you guys facing? Is KERC facing from all angles, whether it be regulation, whether it be adoption, or like what is the biggest if I say, I don't know if I can say threat, but what's the biggest obstacle right now towards your progress as a project?
I would say time. Honestly, we just need more time, because there's just so much we need to do, and there's so much we want to do as a whole, as a project. Because we are a very lean team. We're not like a massive team right now in that sense. That's why we're moving towards more raising funds in public and sort of using that to sort of develop and create that, because that symmetry of sustainable model. So I honestly would say it's just time to cover all grounds of what we're doing, because honestly, the healthcare industry is a very recession-proof industry. Whatever we are doing is not affected by any means of geopolitical data, because
Mm,
even if politics go down, you still need healthcare. If you're sick, you're sick. There's nowhere else you got to run to. So it's sort of an industry where we are not challenged by anything else other than just the limits of what we can do, and I would say just govern our systems well.
yeah, I agree. That's why when I asked you about the pandemic, I had the feeling you were going to say recession proof, which is why all the allied healthcare professionals around the world, even if it was the pandemic, they still have work.
Yeah.
While other industries basically they plummeted. A lot of people lost jobs. Besides, they lost lives, right? So yeah, kudos to Kirk. Um, is there like next question? Is there like any presence that our viewers can actually meet your team? Are you guys going to any events this year? As I mentioned, it's a bull cycle. Where can we see Kirk? Besides Malaysia.
Yeah, so definitely we are getting on our boots on the ground this year. We're getting to places. The most recent one is we're going to Token 2049. So we will be in Dubai. Feel free, come up to me, say hi, talk to me if you have any plans. You want to work together, you want to adopt together, or if you want to sort of invest into us as well. We'll be there. I believe you said also you'll be there. So we can happily continue this conversation there. Maybe have round two there even.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think I've never asked you about your team's background. No? I mean, you've mentioned briefly about yours, but
Yeah.
if you can like introduce me. I know they're not here, but you can introduce me the composition of your current team and what you guys are like good at, your strengths.
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in operations for nearly 15 years as a whole, including my decade of background in healthcare. We essentially sort of started doing the whole medical tourism and telehealthcare as a whole in Malaysia and in Canada as well. That's where we sort of saw the opportunity in healthcare. So I'm not a medical professional. FYI, in direct sense, but I've been in the healthcare industry to sort of know the ins and out in terms of what we need and the holes and the problems that we sort of seen. And the other two core team members is the other one was which his name is Rocky. He's our CTO. He has been in the development world for about 30 years now. He's been in Web3 for about I think the last 10 years. He has many portfolios under his hands. And sort of this is where we sort of see the movement towards in a sense. And we have a CFO, Philip, and he's been in the corporate finance world for over also as well nearly a decade plus. He's been in M&As for about 5 years now, and this is sort of the core team that sort of makes the business run because the background is just more of clinic management system operators and clinic managers and sort of the just accountants and stuff like that. So we are a very very lean team. We have less than 10 people, and this goes to show and shows you how sustainable this whole business model as a whole is. So, like I said, we are businessmen first. We are not sort of like a crypto influencers or sort of a crypto dude sort of starting this. So we are coming from real world businesses into this as a whole foray.
Yeah. All right. Uh, we have a good 25 minutes of the live stream in. So before I go to my last two questions, I'd like to inform this beautiful viewer crowd, which is at 1,500, I think, that there's another promo code that we will be revealing uh, at the top of this live stream. So you guys stay tuned. Okay, so moving on, John, if there is anything that you want to say to not just our viewers right now, but to people that will be watching this moving forward, in the future, what would you say to them now? And yeah, what would you say to them? Like, why Kirk? Why us? Why not just the traditional medical? The traditional industry of healthcare. Why Kirk? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So they are you will see definitely we are not doing something. I think the key thing here is that we are not doing something that's magical right now. We're not doing something that is out of the world in a sense where we are going to change like the whole industry of Web3. What we're doing is sort of been tried before, in a sense, but with a issue of adoption. And right now we have the solution to the issue of adoption, and we have a proven business model that has really been working for 7 months now. We are looking towards how we can also help people on the ground and create these solutions as a whole for the whole landscape. And Southeast Asia is a very ripe and hungry place. We're often been called as the sleeping
Giant.
economy of the whole world, and we just have one of the largest volumes as a whole in terms of pure population. I think the Western world always tends to forget that in a sense. And healthcare as a whole is where we sort of need the adoption. We have been too far behind in terms of revolutionizing how we can move forward in healthcare, and that's where we sort of need. So if you need more information and if you need to talk to more people in terms of what your healthcare needs and problems are, speak to your local people and you start seeing all the problems. And this is where Kirk is trying to sort of solve that issue from the ground level. Obviously we can't tackle everything, but someone has to start somewhere. And the reason why we started this as a whole is our love for crypto and our love for basically sort of getting people the help that they need as a whole. So visit our website, come speak to us in our Discord. We have a lovely community there. We're happy to chat with you. Our tokenomics also has a business model where we provide returns in that sense. So look into that as well. We have a fixed 1.5% month on month, and with additional returns on that as well. Look into our business model, why it works. Come ask questions. I'm happy to. I'm never a person that sort of shies away from any questions. As I was telling, I did a 6-hour AMA as well. So like I'm happy to talk to you in a sense. Right now, we're moving towards the next stage, which needs more fundings because we are growing on a global stage. And this, we're trying to grow in a speed, in a sense, especially with this bull run. We're trying to see how we can maximize this adoption rate and maximize our position as well in the market. So if you are an institutional person, come speak to me. Let's make this work and let's change healthcare together.
Wow. What a way to top it off. You just answered two of the my final questions. All right. We're done with the live stream. Any last words, John, before we top this off in a good note on a good note?
I have nothing else to say. You've been a lovely host in a sense. Love the
Oh, it's not
questions.
my project. It's Kirk. It's Kirk. It's all Kirk. So yeah, I mean, again, to all our viewers in Coinstore, this is again Anthony, senior BD of Coinstore, and this is John from Kirk. Thank you for joining us in this live CS Live AMA Market Insider Edition. This is Coinstore Exchange, and this is us signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.